With the recent update, we've seen more players using the MSMC because it got buffed. But is the MSMC really back on top? Let's find out. We'll compare it with two other fast fire rate CQC SMGs, Fennec and MAC-10. Here are the builds we'll use today, and all the stats mentioned will be based on these. Feel free to use them too, as they are the ones we recommend for you to try out. Like I said, these three SMGs are fast firing CQC SMGs. But how fast? Well, MAC-10 wins this one with 1200 RPM, followed by the Fennec with 1100 RPM, with MSMC a bit farther behind with 923 RPM. Does faster mean better? Not entirely. MAC-10 isn't the fastest killing of all three in general, despite it being the fastest firing. Here's a graph of the time to kill values at all ranges without counting MAC-10's bullet velocity, because it's not too relevant. In light blue and blue, we have what we can consider as mind-blowingly fast time to kill. In light green, we have fast time to kill. And after that, it's most likely to be pretty slow. And in general, at those ranges, other things will hold us back. Looking at the graph, we can see that Fennec has a good time to kill in its first two ranges, which goes up to 22.5 meters. For the MSMC, it goes up to 22 meters. And sadly for the MAC-10, its fast time to kill range only goes until 15.4 meters because of its hitboxes. So when it comes to damage, we're gonna give both Fennec and MSMC a point because the time to kill gap between them isn't that big, so it won't make much of a difference in a gunfight. Mobility is one of the things we have to talk about since it's one of the main elements that make an SMG good or bad. MAC-10 is a clear winner if we're talking about overall movement speed, and MSMC takes the edge in ADS time and sprint to fire time. Looking at the graph, MAC-10 takes a point for the overall fastest mobility, while the Fennec is a bit behind in terms of mobility apart from the reload speed, where it's the fastest, with reload speed being one of the most important things with these weapons. Because as you know, when using these guns, you'll find yourself reloading every 1 or 2 kills because of their fire rate. If we're talking about recoil, bullet spread accuracy, and flinch, MSMC will be the best compromise even if it's not that good. Fennec and MSMC have a pretty close ADS bullet spread accuracy with a value of around 30, which will be terrible at around 25 meters, so it isn't a huge problem since your effective range is around 22 meters. MAC-10 has a value of almost 40 when it comes to BSA, which is just awful, but thanks to that fast fire rate, we don't really feel it. But it can make you lose a gunfight at around 15 meters, which is the end of its fast time to kill range. When it comes to hip fire accuracy, Fennec is the way to go. This weapon has been made for this, so it's not surprising. Then we have the MSMC with a value of 200 for hip fire BSA, which isn't too bad. And then we have the MAC-10 with 270, which will be fine up to 3 meters. Doesn't sound much, but it is in reality. About recoil and flinch, well, surprisingly MAC-10 is the easiest to control out of these three, having the lowest of all and almost perfect vertical recoil. The Fennec has slightly more recoil and a pretty similar pattern that you can control by just pulling down. MSMC has the worst recoil out of all three, with this weird left thing on its recoil which makes it kinda hard to control and kinda annoying when you have to take those mid-range gunfights. But recoil is something consistent that you can control. Flinch, not so much. Fennec is by far the worst when it comes to flinch, having a value of 1.51, while the MAC-10 and MSMC are neck and neck with around 0.9 to 1. To put things into perspective, a typical CBR4 build has 0.8 and a typical Krig 6 build has 0.6. 1.51 is a lot, so that's why you'll see people running the Fennec with a steady stock on. After all that, we can say MSMC takes the point in terms of handling. So is the MSMC really back? Yes and no. In terms of damage, you can rely on the MSMC as it's close to the Fennec. When it comes to mobility, it's behind the MAC-10. And in handling, MSMC is sure on top. Looking at the numbers, MSMC seems to be close to the Fennec, while the MAC-10 is left behind. Personally, I think I'll go with the Fennec because its faster fire rate and better hipfire accuracy makes it more reliable and consistent than the MSMC, making it better for CQC gunfights. But if you're really accurate, you'll be just fine with the MSMC. What's your best close range weapon? Let us know down in the comments below. Well, since we're talking about SMGs, we might as well learn more about movement. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.